In a lot of the literature I've reviewed and a lot of patients and clients I've seen clinically in my office, I see that come out as perfectionism, that is unending sense of idealization of this conformity that seems to be ingrained in many aspects of our society. This is Dr. Laura. Welcome to Mind Candy Podcast, where we empower women's voices and tackle current issues related to psychology. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Laura with Mind Candy. Today I'd like to discuss what a lot of people have been discussing online, and I've been talking a lot to a lot of clients about this in my private practice. What is the good girl narrative? It's also called the good girl complex, good girl conditioning. What is this about? And I'm wondering if any of you have been feeling this way at any point during your lives, or seeing this in the media, seeing this in your friend group, seeing this in your family. The good girl narrative is about conformity in being agreeable, being accommodating, and placing our needs after anyone else's. It's something that seems deeply ingrained in a pattern that shapes individuals' lives, from the individual to the interpersonal, and it becomes malignantly societal and deeply embedded in our belief systems. How do we see the good girl narrative in a societal way? Well, we just need to look at our norms. We need to look at our social norms that encourage young girls to believe that it is our female obligation to be the arbiters of empathy and the consummate caregivers. The good girl is the one who focuses on pleasing others, getting approval, and over-functioning in relationships, and performing emotional labor for those in their friend groups and in their families, and giving in to the weaponized incompetence of others. It is beyond codependence. The good girl thrives on avoiding conflict, anger, and dissent, and that ultimately leads that good girl to overregulate and suppress emotions. In a lot of the literature I've reviewed and a lot of patients and clients I've seen clinically in my office, I see that come out as perfectionism, that is unending sense of idealization of this conformity that seems to be ingrained in many aspects of our society. Females sacrifice authenticity to seek external validation, and by externalizing the importance, focus, and efforts towards others' needs. I see a lot of women who engage in this unknowingly often, this good girl narrative and conditioning. I see them not only sacrificing themselves, but also losing the sense of themselves for the misdirected promise that approval is going to provide them survival, safety, and acceptance. You may be wondering at this point, well, okay, maybe some of this sounds familiar to you. Maybe you know someone who engages in this kind of behavior. We would also call this behavior people-pleasing. We would also call this behavior perhaps codependent. So what are some signs that you may have internalized this good girl complex or narrative or conditioning? It seems to be called many things in the literature that I see, and I'll also be including some resources at the end. So what are some signs that you may have internalized this good girl narrative? In my office, almost every day, I hear several things that are consistent. Things like, no, Dr. Laura, it feels selfish to put myself first. Or, I don't want to be selfish. Or, it feels uncomfortable or wrong to express my anger. A lot of times women express burnout, and especially burnout regarding caring for others or becoming burnout wearing so many hats in their life and not getting the support that they need. A lot of times, a lot of clients that I've seen and a lot of psychologists that I talk to also see clients who are linking safety, validation, and satisfaction with how they can help and be useful with others. A lot of times I see women come in and they present as incredibly sad. But as we peel back the layers and that therapeutic relationship of trust becomes more apparent, these women slowly start getting out of fight or flight and they become angry. And it's really that anger that's hidden under the sadness that was bubbling under the surface that these individuals who may be engaging in this good girl narrative were hiding because they didn't feel like it was appropriate. So if you're thinking about these aspects and you're like, wow, I may connect to at least one of these, or you know someone who may be engaging in this kind of behavior, then you may wonder, well, this is all well and good, but how do we challenge this people pleasing and good girl narrative? Well, the first thing is to really increase awareness that this is happening and that it's not a balanced way to go about our interpersonal interactions or the most important relationship we have, which is with ourselves. It's important to increase emotional awareness and our capacity to have a relationship with all of our emotions, to give all of them a seat at the table, not just happiness and acceptance. It's also really important to access vulnerability and authenticity and know that these two attributes are signs of growth and strength and not fear and shame. It's also really important to challenge these people-pleasing habits and these narratives of being a people pleaser, to increase curiosity and critical thinking, to step back from the emotions and think objectively. What would be a balanced perspective with this? As in all places in our society, it starts from us as individuals and is systemic to always be engaged in gender equality efforts. It's a really important for individuals, groups, companies, families, friend groups, couples to always be looking to ask ourselves a really important question is this affirming gender equality? And is this behavior, is it very equitable for us? And oftentimes when we're talking about this subject, unfortunately, the answer is a resounding no, it's not. It's also important to lead by example, not only in your own space, but to standardize mutual respect and equality throughout every area of your life. And to ask the hard questions. And when we have a difficult answer, having the perspective to meet those emotions with where you're at. What are your thoughts on the good girl narrative? What are your thoughts on how this may link to your life or those around you? What are your ideas on how we can help others break free from these kind of cycles? Could it be beneficial for you to reflect if you connect to any of these attributes or traits, or if anybody that you know or love connects to these attributes or traits? I'm going to be linking a lot of resources to this article that you can explore further. As always, research-backed and evidence-based. I am excited to connect with you all in the comments, and please share and don't forget to hit subscribe. Until next time, this is Dr. Laura with Mind Candy. Have a wonderful day. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Laura with Mind Candy. A quick note just to discuss, as I am an ethical gal, ethical psychologist, none of these subjects or the information in the podcast constitute any kind of therapeutic relationship. All of that information can be found in our terms and conditions. Everything we discuss on Mind Candy are the experience of myself and my guests, and it does not constitute advice or a therapeutic relationship. Thank you so much, and don't forget to hit subscribe.